Shyima Hall was just 8 years old when her family sold her into slavery to settle a debt. She was then smuggled into the United States and held as a domestic slave in California. She was denied medical care, proper nutrition, and education, and her childhood. But there are no words that I can offer that will do her story justice. Please join me in welcoming Shyima Hall.
Hello, everybody. I'm so sorry I'm late. It was the flight, I promise. Let's see. My name is Shyima Hall. I'm gonna begin telling you guys who I am and why I do this. And in the end, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask me. Let's see. Like I said, my name is Shyima Hall. I was a victim of human trafficking, and I'm here to share my story with you guys. I was born in Egypt. I was also a number 7 of 11 kids, big family. I had a family of, they were very poor family, but it was a happy family, and I was okay with it. My childhood was in Egypt, a very nice childhood. I had friends, I had my brother and sisters, family. It was a wonderful experience for me. I had a sister that worked for a family in Egypt. She was the oldest of my family, of the kids. She was actually a twin of 2 girls. Let's see, before I go into her job and what she did, let you know that Egypt law for a labor work is when you're age 14, boy or a girl, you are allowed to work. Your parents is allowed to marry you to whoever they think is suitable for you. And you're a grown person by age 14. Let's see, she worked for a family in Egypt as a maid by choice. She chose to work for them. It was her job, just like us going to work in the morning, but she lived with them. One day, she decided to steal money from them. And when she stole money from them, she ran away after that. They called my parents. My mom showed up to the family's house. And let me explain to you guys the family's house is, or how they are. They're a very, very wealthy family. Their house is probably as half of this campus. That's how wealthy they are. They had 5 kids. 3 girls and 2 boys, twins. Very powerful people in Egypt. See, so she worked for that family, and when they called my mom in, and they said, hey, your daughter stole money from us, and we want it to be repaid back, or we are going to send her to jail. So as a mother's first instinct, in her case, she said, oh, here's my daughter in her spot. And she will repay all her money by working for you guys. They said that's great. She's young, we can teach her everything we want to, the way we wanted to. And she wouldn't talk back. So that was a great thing for them, that I was 8 years old at the time. Even it was still against Egypt law, it was fine by them. So my job was to pretty much to take my sister's spot and to repay her debt. I stayed with the family for almost a year and a half in Egypt. My job was to wash dishes, hop around with the twins, which were the youngest two boys they had, clean around the house, do what I was supposed to do, been told to do. My family didn't even contact me throughout those years. Maybe once, and that's because as a kid I cried and I missed them. And then they got hold of them. I wasn't the only person that worked for them in Egypt. They had other people in the house as well, actually about maybe 5 to 7 other people that worked there, but they were all adults, all by choice. A year and a half afterwards passed, and they decided that they were gonna move to the US because the dad got in some trouble with the government in Egypt. When they decided to go to the US, they said, hey, your daughter hasn't finished her debt. She belongs to us still. And again, my parents said, yeah, she still belongs to you guys, you know. And then they told me, hey, you'll be there for maybe 6 months, maybe less than that, and you'll come back home. As a kid, I mean, I didn't know, like, right from wrong. I did what my parents told me. As you know, you think your parents, they know what's best for you, so you follow their lead. They signed all the paperwork. They even taught me how to, when I'm getting my passport, to say, oh, this guy is gonna adopt me, and that's why I'm going with him to the US. They played out all what was necessary to make it okay, where no one will question them. They thought of everything. And I just went along with it. When I was leaving, I got to see my parents for the last time I ever seen them, and I was at the airport. They said goodbye, and we'll miss you, and be good, and listen to what you're told. And pretty much that was it. I never seen them again. I went on a flight with a man that I met only once before, the guy that acted that he was my parent. And he sat way in the front of the airplane, and I was way back there, like, had nothing to do with me. And we went through different flights and different arrangement, and finally we were in the US in Irvine, is where I met the parents again. And he just pretty much like a package, he handed me over. I went through security in the airport like nothing. It was, you know, the guy didn't even notice, because the guy that was with me, he was mixed with Arab and half white. So it looked nothing like me whatsoever. No one ever questioned him, nothing. It was like, oh, okay, here you go. A guy kind of looked at me and looked at my passport, and then he turned around and said, oh, we're going to Disneyland. And that was it. Then I got handed to the parents, and they took me to their house. I was still confused, honestly. I was still like, you know, hey, this is only gonna be for a little bit, I'm gonna go back home. They took me to their house and showed me, this is where you're gonna work, pretty much. You're gonna take care of the kids. Now I'm the only worker they have. And pretty much like do what we tell you, and end of story. You're not allowed to go outside. You're not allowed to talk to anybody else. I mean, I only spoke Arabic at the time. I didn't speak any English to even communicate with anybody else. They showed me where I lived. I stayed in a room in the garage, and it had a bed, it had a blanket, and a light. And the light, eventually broke, and I lived the rest of the years with no light in that room. But that was my sleeping arrangement, and they thought that was perfectly fine to treat a human being. Sorry. I did my labor work, which was, in my case for human trafficked slave, I was labor work. I wasn't sexually abused or anything. I was only abused by verbally slapping, smacking. Other people actually go through worse when they're slaved, if they're sexual slaved. I hated where I lived. I woke up in the morning at 5 in the morning, get the kids' clothes ready, get their lunches, their breakfast, get the kids all ready for school, and that was my day. I woke up, I cleaned the house. They had 2-story house, 4-bedroom on top, and they had about 2 other living room on the bottom, a computer room, bathrooms. And my job as a 9-year-old was to do all that and to clean. And as them as adult and human beings, they thought that was right to treat another person. The amount of 2 years I lived with them, I got to speak to my parents twice. And the first time I cried to my mom, and I was like, hey, I want to come back home. I can't do this anymore. They're verbally abusive, everything just horrible. And she turned around, oh, you're okay. You're almost done repaying your sister's debt. You're fine. You have to do this for the family. You should think of your family. And I couldn't say anything else, that's what my mom is telling me. I got off the phone, and the dad goes up to me and he's like, don't you ever, pretty much complain about us to your mom. So he was on the other line listening. He was like, how dare you? We give you the world. We treat you as one of the family. And I couldn't imagine that's how family treat each other. I lived with them. I can't even tell you how miserable it was. But, sorry. With the way they treated me, the way the mom would go up to me and she's like, remember, you're nothing compared to who we are. And that was her way of letting me, hey, you stay in your place and that's it. This is your place for you to work for us and to pretty much do what you're supposed to. I took the kids to parking, I took the kids to the pools around the neighborhood. No one would ever notice me either. I was a kid with ripped clothes, looked miserable. And you can just tell. And no one ever looked at me. And this is why I do the talk what I do, for people to understand that you can help somebody else. I had one neighbor come up to me once at the park and ask the little boys, hey, who is she? And they said, they were taught to be like, she's our stepsister. So she's just here with my dad and she's gonna be leaving soon. So they even taught their own little kids, their youngest little boys, to say like, hey, you know, this is part of our family, you know, like they're not doing anything wrong. The 2 years, I have to say, were the most miserable 2 years of my life. I finally, a neighbor, you know, noticed me and called and said, hey, there's a kid that lives in this house, very young, never see her go to school, never see her anything, I see her just up. And I guess it took the police 3 days to go around the house and to be, okay, there's something wrong in the house, and to come in. And you can't even imagine the day I was rescued. Honestly, it was the worst day ever at the time, I thought. Because here it is, a bunch of cops coming to the house. And you're always drilled in your head to be, if anybody would ever take you, any police officers, anybody will talk to you, they would just put you in jail because you're not supposed to be here. You would never see your family again. They're gonna beat you until you're just, nothing else is left of you. And the mom would tell me that all the time in my head. And all I can think of when they came through those doors is like, my life is over. I thought I had it hard then, but I thought, oh man, the worst is coming. The dad opened the door and he said, you know, they spoke in English. I didn't understand really what was going on, other than the dad telling me in Arabic, like, you know, go away. And I walked away, and all I heard was, you know, the door shut, and they didn't come in. And it took maybe 5 more minutes, and the cops knocked on the door like crazy again. I guess they needed a warrant to come in the house. And all I heard was just yelling, bunch of yelling like crazy. I didn't understand anything of it. And as they took me outside the house, the dad goes and tells me in Arabic, don't you dare tell them that you work for me. And they were just trying to push him away from me. Now, nobody at the time was able to communicate with me and tell me what's going on. They had to go and get somebody that spoke Arabic to talk to me on the phone and be like, hey, you know, it's going to be okay. These people are here to help you. So just go with them. And the first thing they did was they put me in a marked cop car. And that's the one thing I'm always getting pointed at, like, see, these are the things you don't get near. These are the things that's gonna take you, and that's it for you. And so I was frightened. I was just like, this is it for me. I ended up taken to it's called Orangewood back in Orange County, and it's like a group home. And I got placed there, and I want to say a day later, the cops came by, and they got my parents on the phone, And my parents, instead of pretty much making me feel better or anything, the first word out of my dad's mouth was, "How dare you to leave these people's home? These are the people that put a roof on top of your head, cared and treated you as a family." I remember being so angry to hear these words from him. It was, thank you. It was very hard to hear those words from him, because I just thought, like, he really has no idea what these people put me through. Staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning to finish cleaning the house, to doing their laundry, to them pushing me around, to tell me I'm nothing. And that's what he tells me. I was part of their family. I remember one time when I was in the family's house, when I first got there, I washed my clothes into the washer machine. And she goes and throws my clothes on the floor and said, your clothes is dirty. You don't mix it with our clothes. And she gave me a dish soap like you wash the dishes with, and a bucket. And that's how I wash my clothes, because my clothes were dirtier than theirs. I'm sorry. No matter how many times I do this, I still... But yeah, my dad was like, be thankful pretty much. And he put my mom on the phone. And she was like, you're gonna give me a heart attack. You're gonna kill me. You're supposed to stay with these people. You're supposed to be thankful for what you have. And these people have helped us so much. And they came to find out, I guess they've been giving them a little extra money, I guess, to help them out. And the same sister that stole the money from them and I was in the situation with, she got married with the money they give them extra. I had nothing to say to them. I was just really hurt. There was a bunch of cops around me, an Arabic speaker that was translating what's going on to them. And I was just crying and telling him, like, Dad, these people are hurting me nonstop. And he's like, well, you should be thankful for what you have. And the cop ended up taking the phone and they hanged up on them. They're like, you don't need to listen to them. If it came by a few days, I was still terrified of what's going on around me. I refused to talk to the cops, and they kept on asking me, the only way we help you is by you talking to us and telling us what's going on. Now I'm scared. I'm like, what if I go back to these family again? What if they win and they take me back? What they're gonna do? They're probably gonna show me the worst all over again because I even dared to say something. And all I can say to the cop was like, nope, I was fine. I was just visiting, just, don't worry about it. And they couldn't do anything else because I wouldn't talk. But again, that was another thing with victims. They don't know what to do with themselves. They're always scared they're gonna go back to where they were. Their emotions are all built on the things you're always told, and the things you're always told was gonna happen to you. I ended up going to foster care through the system, and I went through 3 different foster parents. I was a teenager, not many foster parents wants to take in a teenager. You never know what you're gonna get with it. I had my first foster parents, they were Arab because I didn't speak any English, and I stayed with them actually for about 3 years. And it didn't end up working out because they said I was becoming way too much of a teenager. And I guess you give a kid a candy and just got hyper with it, I guess. I was excited to know what was out in the world. I wanted to learn everything. Now through all this, I was Muslim. I wore my scarf. I practiced my religious very well, and I prayed so God can get me into a better place. My first foster parents were very hardcore Muslims as well. So since I was becoming too much of a teenager, they moved me along to my second foster parents, and I was no longer in California. I moved all the way to San Jose for my second foster parents. I was still not trying to learn and going through school systems. And they were another foster parents that was Muslim, and they spoke Arabic too. I didn't last long with them. I stayed only for a year. I moved along from them to my third foster parents, which was back to California, because I was in a ward of Orange County. Through every foster parents, you go through of the problems and me growing up and me trying to learn everything else around me. And my third foster parents, I didn't want to be a Muslim anymore, and I ended up taking my scarf off because I was getting bullied in school, and kids would pull my scarf off of me, just spit on me. It was just horrible. So I decided, keep on going through all these things, and because I believe in a faith that really not getting me anywhere. It's not even just the Muslim part. It was just me thinking of God, hey, this is not working out pretty much. And I decided to take my scarf off, and going through that was a lot different for me too, because I had a hard time with it, because I thought, I'm doing the worst right now of, not believing in what I always been taught. My third foster parents were American. They spoke full-on English, non-Arabic, and that's from where I got the last name Hall. I got adopted by them, and I carried their last name. And I had my problems with them, where after my now came 2007 is when I started having my little problem with them, because my case was coming to an end, and I finally decided to speak to the police officers. It took me from 2001 to 2007 to speak to the cops and tell them really what happened. Dice agent, they really didn't give up on the case. They wanted to put them in jail really bad because they knew what they were doing was wrong, and they were like, this happened in our own backyard, this shouldn't happen. It's so close to home. So they didn't give up on the case. I went to court, and they decided that they weren't gonna put me on the stand for trial, because my own sister, the one that started everything else, was coming to testify against me. And because these family were wonderful to her, and they stood by her, they did everything so great for her. So I was the wrong one. So the lawyers worked really hard not to have me go through all that, because I was still like, going through all my emotions. I was going through any kind of pills to put me to sleep because I would never sleep, any pills to make me happy. I went through the case, and the day of the trial it was really hard because that was my first time ever seeing them again, the family. And the mom got up first and spoke and said she was very determined and angry with the judge, stood up and told him, shame on you. You have us come to court on a holy day, because I guess it was Eid at the time, and taking us away from my family and my kids. I wasn't planning on getting up and speaking, but when I got up and I spoke and I told her, like, how dare her to say that you took us away from my family and friends and on a holy day, when she took my whole childhood away from me, took me away from my family, my friends. Even we were poor, we had nothing, it still was my family, my life. And she took that away from me. And she was very upset that the judge had the court date on Eid. And that's really all I had to say to her, is pretty much shame on you. The good thing about the case, they plead guilty, so they weren't able to get us a bigger sentence. But the good thing is they still went to jail. She went to 22 months. That's how long she had me, for 2 years. And the dad went for 3 years to jail. I was the first case for human trafficking being ever solved in Orange County and in California. They didn't get a lot of jail time, but the community and the police officer, they all learned a lot from it for the next victim, how to help them right and how to make things go along a lot faster. I'm happy where I am now. Yeah, I've been through all that, and I have a wonderful daughter. She's 2. She makes me happy, a wonderful little girl. And this is why really I do most of my talks, because I would never want her to grow up in such a horrible world. I would kill for her, and that's how I would want everybody to look around and to be like, if you see something, do something about it. Because of that neighbor, I'm here today to speak to you and to tell you about my story and to let you know how awful things are out there and what other people go through. And there's a lot worse case than mine. I was blessed because I had people behind me and they helped me along with it. I was a determined person to be like, I was given an opportunity to stay in the US, and I'm gonna do everything I could do to make it worth, to give back what had been given to me, my life, and to have a wonderful life. I really don't have much to say. There's a lot more to everything, but if you guys have any questions, you're free to ask me.
We have students in both aisles with microphones ready for you, so just raise your hand and they'll pass the microphone down. But please wait till you get the microphone so that Shyima can hear you.
Well, by the way, thank you for sharing your story. But I guess my question is your family did awful things and said awful things to you. Have you found forgiveness for your sister, for your parents, and also even for the the family who enslaved you? Have you found forgiveness for them, or how do you feel about them thinking back on your experience?
I found forgiveness for my family, yes. I have, just because I learned along that there's somebody else that's gonna be judging them, not me. I still get angry, don't get me wrong, when I think about things and how they were never part of my life. For the other family, honestly, I don't give them the time and thoughts. So.
Are you still in contact with your family?
No, I did. Last time I spoke to them was in 2008. That was it.
Thank you.
You said your family is in Egypt, right?
Sorry.
I'm all the way over here.
Oh,
sorry. Would you ever consider going back to see them again, or?
No, I honestly, they are in Egypt. I would not consider going back and see them. I believe in making your own family the ones that loves you, and these are people that obviously didn't love me, and I have my family now, and that's all I see.
Thank you for sharing
Is
your
there
story.
anything that law enforcement or the foster care system or anybody could have done that would have helped you to testify sooner?
No, honestly, just because it was all the battle between me and myself of believing in myself and saying I could do this, I can go and stand against these people and have them pretty much, it was all me, you know?
Shyima, she has a question.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
How old were you when you started going to school here in the States?
I went through going to school. I went to school at home for about at least 3 years, where I learned the general stuff. I was 14 years old when I went to my first public school, and that was, I got put into 8th grade, and that's when I really started to becoming more of a teenager, of noticing different things around me, and realizing that it's not just the Muslim community, it's just the whole world out there. So yeah.
If I remember correctly, you said that the family you'd been with was in trouble with the Egyptian government. How did they get into the U.S. if they were in trouble with the government?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
If I remember correctly, you said that the family you had been with was in trouble with the Egyptian government. How did they get into the U.S. if they were in trouble with the previous government?
I don't know their details of coming to the U.S. I know they all had multiple different passports, so I don't know exactly how they would come. Everybody came on, the few months visa, and them not going back, that was, part of the plan. We all came on just a few months visa.
Hi, I was wondering, we've dwelled on the past and the sad parts a lot, and I was wondering what was your happiest moment after you got out of the terrible house that you were in for so long?
What was my happy after everything else?
Yes.
Wow. It wasn't a lot, honestly, until I had my daughter, but it was the motivation to become somebody and to be a good person, I guess. I lived on my own when I was 17, so I had my own job. I was very determined to become somebody and to do something, and that's all I really focused on.
Thank you.
Okay, wait, is this on? Okay. After everything that happened, how do you view the U.S. now? Like, since the bad stuff happened here in the United States?
In the U.S., well, it wasn't any country that did anything to me. It was the people that was the one that decided they can do whatever they want to. My anger wasn't towards any country. It was more towards not be able to, I guess, be a free human being.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. I was wondering if you could speak to how you got involved in the process of doing talks like this and speaking to people on a very powerful and subject that's close to your heart.
Definitely. I got involved because I had a really good mentor, and he worked for the agency ICE. He was one of the agents that handled my case. And he just acted like a really good father to me, honestly. He took me in, and he's like, believe in yourself. Believe that even you're going through hard time, you can still go out there and help others. Like, no one knows that this ever happens. And I remember him taking me out one time. After the case is when I started going through and talking to people in 2007. And he just took me, a really small group with nothing but police officers, and he told them, like, this is what we get to rescue and see in the end, a person having her freedom. And he had me tell my story, and from there, it just felt amazing to be able to show other people that they can help somebody, and that's how I really started it.
I have two questions. The first one is, how old are you now?
I'm 25.
And then the other question is, now that you're no longer a practicing Muslim, I believe, what do you believe in now?
I do not have I don't claim any religion. I do believe in God very strongly. I did have my anger time towards him. I did go through the resemblance of I want nothing to do with any kind of faith, but I believe in God very strong, and it's just between me and him. Yeah.
With your case being with the abuse like that, do you think they're more receptive to the type of abuse you went through in slavery as opposed to the sexual type?
I think it was all depends on the people that took you. I mean, there's a lot more cases with sex traffickers more than labor traffickers, and believe it or not, they say it all the time when I go to training police officer. This is the fastest industry that brings money to people is sex trafficking, and is one of the most growing industry.
I have a question. Do you do anything to like de-stress? Like, do you do any art, or do you like exercise, or like what do you do when those memories are just coming back?
Well, this is actually my therapy when I do this. I don't have anything that I do. I used to run when I was in high school, or when I start thinking of things, or things are going on, and I start going into my mode of I don't want to deal with anything in the world. I did go through therapy, but almost every kid that's in foster care has to go pretty much through therapy. They did put me on all kind of medications, and it came to a point in my life when I was like, the medication are not doing anything for me. I felt like they were just giving me stuff to be like, here, this will make you feel better, this will make you feel better, pretty much to, just be quiet kind of a thing. But I turned 17 and I was like, you know what, no more. I want nothing to do with any of this, and I didn't need any of it other than going running. Now in my time is my daughter. So, yeah.
Is this on? Okay, so I have a question. So, well, of course, but what did they ever ask for your forgiveness, like your family? Although I know you don't talk to them anymore, did they ever apologize, or did your sister ever, tell you that she was sorry for what she did or what she put you through?
No. The only person that apologized was actually the dad with the family that had me in court, and he was the only one that, when he was talking to a judge, he was like, I apologize that if I done anything harm to her, but his was more of a sarcasm. It was like, well, if she would have asked me to go home, I would have sent her home. And that was the apology I ever got.
You said that you're really happy to have your daughter. How do you plan on telling her, or do you plan on telling her your life experiences when she grows up?
I would definitely be telling her what human traffic is, and explain to her that she can do so much in the world of helping other people. And that's when I really would bring my situation to her, and it won't be like a secret or anything to her. I do have my book, and maybe I won't give her the book right away. I will talk to her and then have her read all the details. But if something goes through my mind, honestly, but I know when it's time, I will know what to do with her. Yeah.
Aside from the mentor that you previously had mentioned and your daughter, are there any other, and talking about your story to groups like us, is there any other support network that you're a part of? Any other extended family, perhaps, that wasn't necessarily involved in the situation, or anything outside groups that you
I go to a lot of groups that other victims are in, and they get to talk and share their stories and kind of try to heal together. The whole Orange County is a very involved in human traffic awareness, so they always have things, actually like almost every month they have something going on where they help share the awareness and talk about human traffic, and I try to do it as much as I can with them. So yeah. We're good?
Okay, all right.
Can I ask a
Shyima,
question?
Thank you. Do we have one more?
Yeah, can
Just
I
one
ask a
more.
question
Okay,
real
and this will
quick?
be it.
Sorry. But you're talking about people speaking up for others, like in slavery or being trafficked. But like, what kind of signs could we look for to know to speak up?
There's actually quite a few things you can look into. I mean, how the person is, they look, how other people are treating them in their group, because most of the times if they're out, they're never going to be out by themselves. They're never going to be just, doing whatever they want to. It's usually them standing and watching out for other people, and that's exactly what I did. I mean, I had a dirty pants on, and I was watching two boys play, just standing there. You can always tell, honestly, for me, was like, how did no one notice how sad and I was? I mean, I went to sleep crying every night. It showed on my face how sad I was all the time. But it's more of like, if you see it, don't hesitate to call or ask for help. Or all it can do is for them to look into it, and if there's nothing in it, you've done nothing harm. You just try to help somebody.
Well, Thanks for your questions, and again for your patience. And Shyima, thank you very much. I'd like to present this from the Global Center. Thank you. We do have. We do have Shyimi's books for sale outside, and she will be doing a book signing upstairs. And for those who are joining us for the reception, please come upstairs as well.